You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast for our IPL preview. This is part 2 of a 2-part series, if you're listening on the podcast, or part 6 of a 6-part series, if you are watching on YouTube. We've done 5 teams so far. We've talked about KKR. We've talked about Mumbai Indians. We've talked about Punjab Kings. We've talked about Chennai Super Kings. And we've talked about Royal Challengers Bangalore. That means there's 5 teams left. And according to our Patreons, only one of them is going to miss the playoffs. It's going to be thrilling. It's going to be a great countdown. It's going to be the final countdown in this series. Yeah. But first, we need a quick introduction from everyone because this is a podcast. I'm Jack Hope. I'm joined by Ross Legg.
Hello.
I'm joined by Max Rowe-brown.
Go on, CSK.
And we've got Dan Weston, our budding analyst. Used to be a budding
Still
analyst.
budding.
Yeah.
How you doing, Dan?
Our recovering analyst.
I'm not saying bad, and if you're watching the video, there's an explanation for why I'm looking like a Roman emperor in the first part.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're convalescing all right there, Dan. The order of teams has been chosen by our Patreons. You can sign up to be a Patreon from just £5 a month at patreon.com/thecricketpod. You get bonus content. If you pay a bit more, you get data. And if you pay a bit more, you get to hang out with us at exclusive Zoom calls, which is good. We are going to talk about the team ranked 5th by our Patreons now. And I'm going to pass to Ross to do that.
You are indeed. It is the team who has played one IPL and has won one IPL. Our Patreons have no faith in the champs. The team that consistently were the more than the sum of their parts, with mega clutch performances from different players pretty much every game. Is that sustainable for 2 seasons? Our Patreons think it is not. They are going to be playing at the old Modi Dome. They're coached by Ashish Nehra, and Hardik Pandya leads them. When we're talking about the animals that we're doing on we're pretty much trying to get the Indian Tourist Board to give us a gig at some point in the future. And we're going through what state animal best represents them. And this is a fantastic one for these guys. It is the Asiatic lion. It is the most endangered animal in the world. And I feel like it encompasses this team very well. Tewatia, he is a lion. Pandya, he is a lion. Matthew Wade is a little cub. And that is, I think it's a nice bit. And that obviously,
and Kane Williams' T20 career is critically endangered.
Very true. Very true. That is very nicely done. Very nicely done.
Is that why they were called Gujarat Lions before?
I hope it is. Yeah. So it's all fits rather nicely. So I think it's positive for the Almeida Bad Boys. When it comes to strengths, the champs, I feel, auctioned quite well. They filled some gaps that they had. They got themselves a sacrifice player in Kane Williamson, if they need one for the cricketing gods this year. They've got an explosive middle order. 2 top spinners in Rashid Khan and Sai Kishore, with Tewatia offering kind of what is increasingly rare part-time leggies. Didn't really bowl that many overs for them last year, and they've got a pretty decent pace unit, which gives them, I think, the flexibility they need. So Mohammed Shami, Yash Dayal, Alzari Joseph, new acquisition Shivam Mavi, and Irish new acquisition Josh Little. So overall, I think they've got quite a well-rounded team. They've got an approach that has seemingly worked for them. But again, the sustainability of that is probably where I start to see kind of the weaknesses, right? Can they really continue in that vein? I look over kind of with similar eyes from last year, and that top order on paper of Wade, Riddiman Saha, Shubman Gill, Kane Williamson being added to that if he does play, that doesn't scream top order intent for me to kind of capitalise on that power play. And don't get me wrong, I loved the clutch performances, but if you're the management of that team, you cannot be going, don't worry, someone's going to pull it out of the bag every week. There should be a piece where they're trying to avoid taking kind of their team down. Was it cul-de-sacs? I think Max, you put it on the previous part A or part one. They've also got Vijay Shankar in there for a laugh, and there's a very much a question over whether Hardik Pandya is going to be fit enough to bowl. I think towards the last kind of the latter stages, kind of he was managing his workload, and if he doesn't bowl, then they're obviously finding overs. It is not all doom and gloom, though. Shubman Gill is the second coming of Don Bradman, according to some of our Patreons. So, not too bad. So, I think overall, decent enough squad. Sustainability of the way in which they play, there's got question marks, but I feel that actually as an entire squad, it's not too bad. What do you think?
I don't know how they won it last year.
Yeah.
It was madness.
Yeah, I can't disagree.
This is sort of where you have to come at it from. Like, it was a beautiful journey to go on, wasn't it? To watch Gujarat. I know they weren't a fan.
Getting those 2 6s, let me tell you.
I loved it. Sorry, Dan, but I thought that was one of the best things I'd ever seen in my entire life. But I feel like with a lot of beautiful journeys, they do have to come to an end. And that ended in the best possible way with the championship. I don't know if you can, as Ross said, truly expect the number of close finishes that they had to go their way to go their way again. I think they won basically every coin flip game, and then they lost a few quite badly, and they won a few quite easily. Pardon?
Every coin flip moment,
yeah. And they, to be honest, I mean, like, to take that Odin Smith Tewatia moment as an example, that wasn't even a coin flip. That was a 99.9% in the bag, game over. Oh, he's thrown the ball into the outfield. Why has he done that? And even from there, he needed to launch 2 6s. I don't know. I mean, that moment, I think, look, it was brilliant. It was fantastic. It really epitomizes what that team was all about. But it's not, I would say, a championship winning formula.
That's fair. So if we talk about their potential 11s and see people if they can agree with that, I think they've got kind of two sides that they'll look to play. But there's one kind of with more batting focus, one with more bowling focus. I think Wade plays. I think Shubman Gill opens up with him. I think actually it kind of worked for them to a certain extent last year. I think you've then got either Riddiman Saha or Sudarshan. I'm assuming it will be Saha because he'll take the gloves. Then 4 and 5, I'm not sure which way round this will quite go, but Hardik Pandya will probably be in that position. And Manohar, I'm guessing he was kind of got a good run in the side last year and did okay. Killer Miller in at 6, Tewatia in at 7, Rashid Khan at 8, Shami at 9, Joseph or Josh Little at 10, and then Kishore or Mavi, depending on the conditions. The other part is if they want to bring in another bowler, and that's where you'd probably sacrifice Manohar in that lineup and bring in someone it would be kind of a Yash Dayal or Shivam Mavi. So it's kind of where I'm seeing it. Just
to check on both those 11s, there's no Williamson, right?
Yeah, there's no Williamson. As far as I'm concerned, is part of the coaching staff. He should be nowhere near this lineup.
Williamson for Wade.
Matt Wade is since Dan picked him up in the 100, which surprised everyone for 100. He had a brilliant year last year, and he's a trophy magnet, right? And and he wicket keeps. Yeah, you're right.
So you can make Williamson wicket keep. I just wonder whether because of the cachet of the Williamson name that whether they will go with him. I don't know what that would do to their team. Obviously, Miller.
I think I really do.
What did you say?
You think they'll play him?
I think they'll play him. At least at the start, yeah.
Miller is out for the first 2 matches, I think.
Oh, definitely.
With cricket, South Africa in their must-win qualifiers for the World Cup. So that's the route in. I think if he gets a score, I wouldn't be stunned if they were just like, oh.
Well, he's back in form in Test match cricket, but last year it was an abomination. He averaged like 12 at like a strike rate of
Less
80.
than 100.
Yeah, like, you're just like, how is this guy like not to dig the Sunrisers fans who are listening to this, but why did you retain him over Rashid Khan? What were you thinking? And then Rashid
they've
Khan,
been united again.
Yeah, they've actually come into here where Kane Williamson's on like 50 lakh, and you've got Rashid Khan like smelling the money. But I don't think it's a bad 11. But again, it's that middle section of Pandya, Killer Miller, Tewatia, and Rashid Khan to a certain extent you could do much worse in the IPL.
It's like the Sunrisers' decision. I mean, based on just pure numbers and expected performance levels and stuff, that's got to go down as one of the worst decisions of all time in cricket recruitment.
It's not even in cricket recruitment. That's in sport in general.
Yeah, I mean, we've already referred to Julien Faubert going to Real Madrid in one other preview, but we go down that road again. I mean, what were they thinking? And it's like Tottenham. It's like Tottenham saying, "Okay, well, you've got Harry Kane and you've got Emerson Royale, and you've got two times 100 million bids in for each player. So someone's bid 100 million for Emerson Royale, someone's bid 100 million for Harry Kane, and Tottenham going, you know what? Yeah, we'll let Kane go. Emerson Royale's a right jet." Like, what on earth are you thinking?
Yeah, it's not well. However, for Gujarat, I think that they've got a decent enough lineup. They're going to need a bit more consistency, but I think they actually can find that consistency in this lineup. Killer Miller is having a fantastic year. We know that Hardik Pandya has always got a point to prove, I think, around kind of his captaincy and what his future credentials are for the India side moving forward. And I think their bowling lineup with the kind of domestic contingent gives them that flexibility that I think they're going to need moving forward.
I think there's another problem that they'll have, and it didn't really suffer. I mean, you mentioned that Hardik had games out injured last year, and I think, or like couldn't bowl. Maybe he missed one game with injury and couldn't bowl in a couple. I think he was saying, "Oh no, I could bowl. I just don't feel like it." But I think I'd be a little bit surprised if they got lucky in that area again as well. And I think on the pace bowler front, I wonder whether Mohammad Shami will be wrapped up in cotton wool a little bit. Now, he's not like the best seam bowler of all time, but you take him out, then you have to bring a replacement level player in, and then that downgrades that whole department a little bit. But they have got the big match, haven't they, against the Aussies coming up, and Shami might be their most important bowler for that.
But it's an interesting one, because I think this is the area where I do think this is one of the teams that are actually could benefit from the impact sub. I think because of their domestic contingent here, I think they could definitely do worse than actually use some of the sub positions. Like, even if they used Shami up front, you're not losing loads of batting from him if you replace him with, say, Sai Kishore, right? In that position,
Right.
and then you're not using Shami at the death typically either.
Yeah, definitely agree with that, Ross. Yeah, you look at, if they pick one of Sai Kishore, Yash Dayal, or Shiva Mavi in their team, and two of them on the bench, then there's not much of a downgrade between Dayal or Mavi to Shami in T20 cricket, really. I don't think so. Look, yeah, they're probably one of the team who's better stocked in terms of pace depth, and probably could negotiate those choppy waters if required. And I think, yeah, they've got some other bench strength as well, and perhaps we'll go on to that in their batting group in not so distant future as well.
Yeah, no, I think we just go there right now, right? So I think out of the impact players in that space, if they were to, we were talking about it, and if you want to go check out our video with Dan that talks through the kind of different applications of the impact sub, please go and have a look. But pretty much we were saying that actually you can use it from power play bowlers and get someone out, or you can look to extend the batting at the top of the order when your power play potentially hasn't gone as well, or something along those lines. And they do have Saha, Sudarshan and Manohar and Vijay Shankar would probably in that space, who might end up benefiting in that space. But it's stronger bowling than it is batting.
And that's the way that they won the title last year. They were a bowling strong team. Again, we talked about net boundary percentage a bit for the RCB preview, and their net boundary percentage as a title winner was basically unheard of low. So, and that goes back down to that argument as well, saying that they won every key moment in matches, and that can happen over a 14 or 16 game season. Whether that could happen, say over, I've on record saying this several times before. If the season was as long as a Premier League football season, 38 games, I don't think that they would have come in the top 4 last year. And if the season was as long as a baseball season, they're playing hundreds of games. No chance, 0 chance. So, I'll double down on that. I'm quite happy to do that. The top 5, if you don't have Hardik in the top 5, looks just so pedestrian. It really, really does. Manahar's got a bit more intent, I suppose, but Wadey struggled a bit in PSL recently. We've already spoke about Williamson. Gill's a fantastic young talent, but ultimately, I think it would be a huge stretch to call him an intent merchant or anything close to that. Not the world's biggest buyer of Vijay Shankar. So it does put a lot on Hardik. And if he doesn't bowl as well, I mean, you're looking at trying to get 4 overs between Vijay Shankar and Rahul Tewatia, who they weren't keen to bowl last year. So that 5th, 6th bowler is another issue as well. Josh Little was injured in PSL, so they might have to use Alzari Joseph, which robs them of a left arm option as well. So there's a few ifs, buts, and maybes in this group right now.
Cool. Ross, what do you think? Patreons, are they right or not?
I think they're about right. I think in this space, I think they are definitely playoff contenders. I'm not sure. I love clutch players. I love the whole momentum thing. I really buy into that element of sport, and the fact that a team is trying to harness that and kind of ride on the wings of the dragon. I quite like that. So yeah, I think definitely in the playoff hunt for it. But yeah, I don't think they're kind of a 1 or 2 best teams in it, because I just think some of the other teams ahead that we're going to talk about in a minute have got some better setup.
Max,
I'm really struggling with this one about where I put them. I'm finding it really tricky to work it out. They've got such a good engine room in Miller when he's there, and Rashid Khan. I mean, I feel like maybe Tewatia won't be what he was last year, and they'll lose. They'll be robbed of that. But I don't know. They've almost got that intangible sense of like there's something there that I can just see him doing. Maybe Shubman Gill's going to stand up and have a ridiculous year this year after we said that he wasn't good enough to play T20 cricket for India, really. At T20s, obviously, tests in 1 day.
Then he got 100.
He's a banker. And then he got 100 like literally the day after. Maybe that's where they are. Maybe that's what we'll see. I think overall, they've got enough about them that they will win a good number of games and they'll be there or thereabouts. But I reckon just about missing out this year would be a reasonable place to put them.
I am in the same camp. Dan, finish the 4.
I mean, there's almost like an element of CSK about this team in terms of you don't really expect them to do very well, but they just somehow do it. Look, Little going as well will be a big problem for their death bowling. They don't really have any death bowling if he doesn't play. And as I said, top order's pedestrian. 5th and 6th bowler's an issue. Look, I don't really rate them that highly, to be honest with you. I think that the key for them, they need Gill, they need Hardik, and they need Rashid Khan all to have unbelievable seasons, or at least 2 of the 3 of them to have like top of their skill set seasons for them to get in the top 4. I'm not seeing it.
I don't think that's that unlikely.
It's not that unlikely, yeah. But they still need to carry a lot of players.
You got to remember there are 10 teams going into 4 as well. Like much earlier in the series, I'd said that I could see Mumbai Indians, they had an outside chance making the playoffs. I think this team have got a better chance of being one of the 10 into 4 than Mumbai. Because I think that it is more likely that what Dan said happens. That 2 or 3 of those, that Hardik stays fit. Like we've seen that happen last season. It could happen again.
We didn't expect it last year. We were like, is Hardik even going to bowl? Then he turns up and bowls 4 overs.
Shubman Gill does seem to be going through like a breakthrough spell. Maybe he will turn up and absolutely boss it. And Rashid Khan, up and down year, you'd say, probably so far, but it's not inconceivable.
Rashid Khan.
It isn't inconceivable he takes 25 wickets. And then, two out of 3 there, and a little bit of luck with injuries. Mohamed Shami takes some wickets at the power play. You're in business, aren't you?
Okay,
right.
Good. That's it. Next team.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.